So, my life a year ago was nothing like it is now. It's pretty unbelievable what has emerged from within me. I sit for 1 to 2 hours every morning, and what emerges is a level of creativity that I had always dreamed of, and I love that. I see possibility for giving to the world on a greater and greater scale every day. I feel more at peace than I ever have before. I have this sense of knowing what's coming. Not because I know, but because I know what it's like to let go, to trust, to have faith, and have it all work out. And so every time that new fear comes up of something I haven't done yet, I simply step, experience, feel the fear, and know that I love that, because what's underneath is something I love that I have not yet discovered. And here it is, one step at a time. I experience new life, new joy, new growth, allowing me to connect with everyone around me on a deeper and deeper level. In my personal life, I have the best sex I've ever had. And I've studied Tantra. I've had pretty good sex in my life, and a lot of it, and it's more connected. I'm more connected with myself. My book, Play With Yourself, the tongue-in-cheek title that has swept through the nation with 10 million copies sold suddenly. And I love that. Feels pretty fucking awesome. Because play with yourself is about playing with yourself in every possible moment, not just with your genitalia, which is awesome. I play with my penis all the time. And that's awesome because I love myself and I love that. And play is not just about sexuality, as we love to joke about. Kyle often talked about in his workshops that catalyzed this whole movement in me, something that had been emerging for the last 20 years or so. Ever since I was a kid, I would just start moving in a particular way, what I've coined as the phrase coiling. The coiling of energy from within each cell, the coiling of energy in DNA to bathe all of the telomeres on the end of my chromosomes in telomerase with present moment being, sitting every day in the morning and periodically throughout my day. No need to go through this exhaustive process of quote-unquote processing my emotions, which was really just spinning my wheels over and over again because it never seemed to get any better. Yet here I am. And I love every little flaw about me instead of fretting about those supposed flaws. I know I'm perfect. Not in the arrogant way, in the humble way of recognizing that I am you. I am another you, you're another me. And the expression that I have in this moment is an expression of love. Whether I or you or anyone sees that in the moment is a matter of choice. I choose love. I choose to see love. I choose to be love. I choose to engage in love in every moment in my breath, in presence, in coiling through the energy of my cells in my emotional states with love and acceptance, connecting to the peace inherent in who we are as beings naturally. Who we are is a divine expression, a unique divine expression that we all chose to come through with in this life, a specific purpose, a specific set of awarenesses, gifts, talents, abilities to serve all who are in our lives. And not just in the grand ways like writing a book, like getting on stage and inspiring thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, even billions of people. It's not really about that. It's about living it in my own life as I live it. I can't help but smile because everything is amazing. Life is one moment after another of love expression. Any guilt that pops up from my old patterns, which there's always another layer, the guilt emerges and I simply love it. I love that part of myself, that 5-year-old version of myself that was desperate for approval, always feeling not good enough. The pain, the guilt, even shame. I love that. I love you, little Mike, little 5-year-old Mike. Guess what? You're awesome. And as I engage in that acceptance, that love, that little part of myself, which is really encompassing the greater part of myself in disguise and shadow, is integrated into the greater whole. I am one with myself on a deeper level than I have been before, and I encompasses the greater I, not just this ego, body, mind experience, but our soul group together, that in this life, maybe it's reincarnation, maybe the next life I get born as my son, maybe the next life I get born as one of my wives. Yes, I've had 2 so far. Whoever I am in this moment is a divine expression, and so is everyone else. And so there really is nothing to do but forgive, because the perfection is what's underneath this illusion of a human worldly plane that we all experience with our ego minds and choose to either focus on that limited perception or to focus in on the greater space that's available to fill with love that we can be, that I choose to be, that I am in this moment. I am love. I am love embodied. I used to have such a deep fear of growing out my facial hair, believe it or not, because I of all things, like, really, Mike, your facial hair? Yeah, I was 20-something and still couldn't grow out any facial hair, and to me that meant I was less of a man. To me that meant, whew, man, do I have less testosterone? And if you're to look back at all my relationships and my sex life, yeah, that's clearly not the case. Sorry, everybody I've hurt, like, really. So, please forgive me. I say that with love and with humility, and I laugh as I expand further into connection with the pain that I know I've caused at various times through unconsciousness, that we all cause through unconsciousness. And so, as I physically breathe and coil through the emotional experience that I'm experiencing, I see it as a map, a navigation system, a way of connecting to each moment with deep peace through forgiveness, with integration, with unity, with the coiling of the energetic emotional experience of recognizing the greater I, the greater whole that encompasses my individual experience, which is a microcosm for the macrocosm of how we're all unified as one, how there really is no separation between you and I, how in quantum physics they talk about the energetic level of experience, that there's no separation between me and this phone and you on the other side of the video screen and every last piece of existence. We're really all one. So what is this experience of looking at separateness, looking at ourselves as able to be hurt, able to be in fear and stay there? Fear is a natural part of expansion, and before we expand, we're terrified, just like the caterpillar in the cocoon has to liquefy in order to reform into the butterfly, into that beautiful emergence of what's within. We reframe our existence through seeing the beauty in each moment, the love expression in each moment, the gratitude, the ability to connect to the divine inspiration, the correspondence of breath, to breathe together, conspirare, the Latin root of the word conspiracy, meaning to breathe together. Let's breathe together. Let's look at one another and say, hey, who I am is a part of the greater whole, and yet I'm all of it. Every person that pisses me off is actually a part of myself. I have not yet let go of resistance. Acceptance is where love exists. Love exists in acceptance, not in resignation. In acceptance that this moment is what it is, and it isn't what it isn't. The past already happened. The future hasn't happened yet. And here we are, in the present moment. And if you're viewing this video, it's not the present moment for me, but it's the present moment for you watching it. So soak it in and breathe with me. Let's breathe together. Let's reframe into gratitude, where our focus from our ego minds can be on one perspective, one strategy, one way of being. On the flip side, what exists? But inspiration. The question is, and it is a question, it's always a question. If you think you know, then learning is cut off. Growth and learning only exists when we connect to expressing ourselves in this moment for the perfect imperfection, as our ego minds might see it, imperfection. Everything is perfect. The expression of love always exists, and when we reframe our point of view to look for what we have that we're grateful for, we get to shift our focus on what's already there. As my father loved to remind me, if life is a duck pond, if the metaphor of the ultimate reality is a duck pond, and on, let's say there are 4 sides. Let's just go with 4. Keep it nice and simple, right? 4, the number of completion of the Tao Te Ching. I've always liked the number 4. I'm going to go with 4. On one side of the duck pond, these people are looking at the ducks, and they're going, wow, what beautiful ducks. Look at the ducks doing what ducks do. That's what's so. That's what is. The beautiful water, the glistening of the sunlight reflecting off of it, the fresh air of the trees nearby. Which brings us to another quadrant of this duck pond. The other quadrant of this duck pond is layered in trees. And so the person on the other side of those trees, looking at that very same duck pond of reality, what do they see? They see a forest. It's the same thing, with a different perspective. Let's flip over to the other side. So what's over there? A giant dune, a giant dune of sand, followed by an extensive desert. That desert is all those people see on that side of the dune. What are they looking at? They're looking at sand, a dune. But they're looking in the direction of reality, of the duck pond. They don't see the ducks. When somebody from on this side says, hey, look at these beautiful ducks, and the people over here go, hey, look at this sand. And the people over here go, hey, look, there's a forest here. Everyone's arguing about who and what God is, and if there is a God. And I mean, okay, so can we just agree that each of us as individuals are not the greatest power in the universe? So from that sense, there is a higher power, something greater than ourselves. I know that there are people who appear to see themselves as the greatest power. People who seek, to be the president, for example, or a number of other positions of power that seem to be greater than everyone else. Well, that's the illusion of this worldly plane. And so the fourth side of the duck pond, by the way, happens to be a cliff looking down over the duck pond. And they see the duck pond too. Yet their focus isn't necessarily on the duck pond, because they see the dune, they see the forest, and they see an extensive mountain range in which this entire duck pond is encompassed, just like our world within the universe. From this perspective, we see greater truth. From this fourth side of the duck pond, we see reality as it encompasses all things. Yet, that perspective is not superior. It's tempting to go there. When a child is learning how to read or write or walk or even speak, do we say, hey, that's not how you do it. You're supposed to do it this other way? I mean, I suppose there are teachers out there, parents out there who do that, and that's a tragic expression. And the pain experienced on both sides will work itself out through love expressed, as healing naturally occurs. However, looking from this perspective of out over this cliff, looking at the duck pond, the mountain range, everything that is in existence here, everything that we can see, it's not on the ground level. So although it sees the whole picture, the people who are right there looking at the ducks might seem to be the people who see the least. Yet they're the closest to reality because they're living life in the moment. So who's right? All of them. None of them. One of them. It really depends on what you choose. I was raised in a tradition of a type of Christianity which I separated from and then came back and connected to. And I don't subscribe to any religion as one right way. However, there are some beautiful truths in it, so I'm going to share one of them now. I was always taught, growing up in this community, it's called Swedenborgianism, by the way, in a little town called Bernathen, that innocence is simply a willingness to follow the Lord, or whatever your higher power is. Whatever it is that you seek that's beyond where you are in this moment, that has you continue to become into the next moment. Your willingness to take that step forward with faith. That regardless of the things that are scary, the things that are terrifying, the faith that taking a step toward where your heart calls you, that it will be okay. Not only will it be okay, but expansion will happen through the process of connecting to what is in the next moment. And every time the nervous system readjusts, it goes, oh, cool, it is safe. I thought it wasn't, but it is. And here we are, and oh, there's another one. I have amnesia. I don't know. I've never taken a step forward before into something I've never done. The head says, the ego says, the nervous system says. Yet recognizing that the willingness to follow the heart, the internal GPS, the guidance system that allows us to seek our higher power, to become a greater expression of love, is innocence. Innocence is often looked upon as a weakness. Ultimately, innocence, a willingness to step forward in faith, a willingness to follow your heart, regardless of the fears that are present, to step into courage. This is the ultimate protection, because as we expand, as we grow, as we are willing to take that step forward, the next step on the path of life, more love is accessed. And that's the ultimate protection. An open heart in surrender allows for that deeper connection. So stepping down off my soapbox, because originally this was all about connecting to a Kylego exercise. Thanks, Kyle. This is some good stuff. This is similar to what I do in my daily morning visualizations, and I'll get more into those in future videos. Life is completely transformed because I've learned a deeper step. Thank you, Kyle Cease. Every time the coiling of energy presents itself in a way that's uncomfortable, some form of fear, all there is to do is accept it. All there is to do is to love it. The next step is unsure, and I'm scared, and I love that. So I feel connected. I am connected. My body feels connected in this breath, in this moment. So let us breathe together in forgiveness to feel peace, our true perfection, masquerading as the illusion of imperfection in our egoic human experience, coiling in the experience of emotional flow, energy in motion, emotion, to reframe the way that we view things, to shift our focus to another side of the duck pond, to see from another's point of view, to connect to a deeper truth, not because one is better than the other, but because we're all here to learn and serve, to give to one another, to receive from one another. And ultimately, all of these things lead to expressing love in intention, in word, and in deed. Living the love expression together in unity as one through acceptance. Know yourself and be empowered through the mastery of love. We're all masters of love. Go and be in peace, in inspiration, in empowerment, in gratitude, in inspiration, in forgiveness, in joy, in love, in acceptance. Life is grand because life is in this moment. Namaste.